Thank you very much. Right,
Pat, you sound like a Dalek.
Oops, what was that?
So you sound a bit like a Dalek at the moment, Pat. I don't know what.
Oh, do I?
Yeah.
Yeah, so do you. Hold on.
Right.
Oh dear, you was fine just now.
You sound all right, Pat. Who was it who was just speaking?
That was Councillor Brown.
Well, he's the one who sounded like a Dalek.
And he's frozen.
And he's frozen.
Oh, no, he hasn't. He's nodding. He's a frozen nodder.
Yeah. So do I sound all right now? Do I? Yeah.
Yeah, you've sounded all right all along, but I suspect
right.
Tony's bandwidth was a bit weird.
Right.
Momentarily.
Okay. Are you all right now? Oh, he's still.
Tony,
yeah.
Can you reboot your router or get closer to your Wi-Fi or something?
Just restart Zoom, Tony.
Yeah, I'll jump out and come back in again. Crack the meeting and I'll be back in a sec. Yeah.
Okay.
We don't exterminate him first.
Shall we start, Pat, and wait for Tony?
Yeah. Okay. Right. Good evening, everyone, and welcome. Item 1 on the agenda. Welcome To note that this is a working party and has no delegated authority and may only make recommendations to full council. Urgent actions may be taken under delegated authority given to the clerk and the chair. Thank you, everyone. Right, Vicky. Item 2, which is apologies for absence, please.
Councillor Liz Smith.
Right, thank you. Any other apologies? No, it's not. Right, thank you. Item 3, delegation of pecuniary interest and request for dispensation. Anyone? Councillor Stinchcombe.
I have a non-pecuniary interest in application 4 on list B.
Thank you very much. Right, item 4, which is the minutes for the 21st of September. May I have a proposer and a seconder for these minutes? I presume everyone's read them. Yeah, proposed by Councillor Smith. Another seconder, please. Seconder, please. Councillor Lucarini, sorry. All those in favour, please show. Thank you. Right, item 5, matters arising from those minutes. Page 243. Are you going to put it up, Vicky? Yeah. Page 243, which is this page. P21 stroke 159. Planning conditions. I think we got this on the agenda, haven't we? To follow up on the email sent to our Armand, insisting that conditions are attached to small-scale householder. We've got these on the agenda, haven't we, Vicky?
Yes, because she replied.
Yeah. What item is it?
8.
8, right, okay. Right, next one is P21 stroke 150 to draft a complaint to enforcement regarding construction working hours at Ann Suckling Road and also to West Suffolk Development Control in support of local district councillors regarding planning conditions. Have you had any reply, Vicky?
I sent the reply from the enforcement chap earlier today. Don't know if you saw that.
I haven't, no. Has anyone seen this?
Yeah.
Oh, right.
He was just basically saying that he was aware, and if we had any further complaints, to go online and do it. So he said the case officer for the development site is aware of a breach regarding construction hours from a resident and has subsequently been in contact with the developers. However, if this is a regular breach and keeps recurring, please can you report it on our online form?
Okay, Councillor Burns.
Was that Andy Smith who sent that?
Yes.
Okay, I'll say no more.
Oh, go on.
Well, if I have to, they just have a habit of just ignoring everything that we complain about for enforcement purposes. I complain regularly at development after development control that they never report back what's happening. They're not giving us data. I just despair of them, to be honest with you. Every time you put something in, it sits there. I've got outstanding complaints going back about 5 years. They still haven't done anything about. So I just despair. Okay.
Do you do the, Councillor Burns, do you do the form, fill in the form?
I report it to them. I get an acknowledgement from them. I even get the case number, but then nothing ever happens.
Okay.
But, I'm not alone in complaining about them, by the way.
But I mean, he has. Sorry, Chair.
Yeah.
He has said that
Okay.
it's been in contact with the developers. So.
Right. Perhaps it's developers then. That's the problem. Right, page 244.
Chair.
Councillor Creaney. Councillor Creaney. Can you hear me? Can anyone hear me?
I can hear
Yes.
Right, Councillor Creaney. Oh, did I say Councillor Creaney?
you. You did.
Oh, I'm in right mess here. Sorry, it's because I'm trying to look at two computers and I'm not used to it because I've missed my phone. I miss it. Councillor Stitchcombe, I do apologise, Councillor.
Thank you. I did wonder. I've had the misfortune to be unable to attend full council, so I don't know whether this, and I know it was on the agenda for full council, but I don't know if anyone took up the issue of putting Tony Brown's points that he raised in an email on the 7th of it must have been September, 7th of September, which was to all councillors. So we've all had an opportunity to read those, whether we have or not. He made a couple of points and there was a bit of a discussion about it. Did those get incorporated into some kind of a response from council at full council, or do we still need to do something about that? Thank you.
Can you point out where it is on the what number it is on the minutes?
Sorry, that we're looking at now. Which item on the minutes now?
Yeah.
Yeah, 160, the top of the page, West Suffolk local plan.
Okay.
Because that a response to the local plan was also on the full council meeting, but I've no idea what business was transacted there because it wasn't available to the public to view, as far as I know, and I couldn't attend as a councillor in any case.
Can anyone help it on this? Councillor Burns?
Yeah, we subsequent. I know that the town council. We had a discussion about the local plan, which Colin hopefully can remind us what was actually said. But subsequent to that, we have actually had a local plan working party, which I think Councillor Smith was at, whenever it was last week, wasn't it? Sometime. And there was quite strong views made, let's put it that way, about the fact that infrastructure most definitely needs to be in place before anything is built. The trouble is, of course, in Haverhill, all that stuff has already been approved. Unless we talk about the big development that's proposed for south of the bypass, there's very little other than the one where you're going to be discussing soon on the agenda item, whatever it is. I don't know whether Councillor Smith's got anything to add to that without. Sorry, to put you on the spot, Dave. Sorry.
Councillor Smith.
No, not really. But as Councillor Burns says, we continue to make our views known at on the working party, and I think it's really up to the individual councillors to put their own views across. I mean, we can do it as a town council, but I think the more people that do it, either collectively or individually, the better.
Right, thank you for that. Any more comments on this page, on page 244?
Well, excuse me, Chair, I'm still not clear whether the town council has responded as a town council. Have we or haven't we? On this issue of Tony's point specifically. I haven't got his email open in front of me, but there was a point about he needed traffic. He personally would favour there being some gradation of lack of infrastructure on the matrix. I think he said he'd like amber and red, you know, and we'd be red for NHS, not just amber, which it might be elsewhere. For example, and then there was a bit about public transport as well, which I haven't got up. I could get it up in front of me, but I haven't got it up in front of me at the moment.
Councillor Smith?
The point was made again that the fact that these categories are they're a bit too black and white, or should I say red, yellow, and green, whatever. But there's not enough scope between to differentiate between the finer points. But I don't know if John can add anything more to that.
Councillor Burns?
Yeah, sorry, I forgot about the matrix. Yes, I brought up as well the fact that the matrix, traffic light system was just not wide enough in its coverage. I said it should have at least been a 1 to 10, and every item should have been weighted as well. I did specifically make the point of what relevance a public house has when we're not really doing anything about the health provision in the town, which has a, I would suggest substantially more weight than a public house has. I don't know whether officers took that on board, but it was quite surprising how many of the other members were quite vociferous, maybe if that's the right word to use, in their views that we've got to get it right. We just cannot carry on doing what we did before. Around infrastructure, as Councillor Brown has mentioned in the past about healthcare provision, transport, basic infrastructure. As I say, unfortunately, I think we're a little bit too late coming to the table here because we haven't got very much land left to build on. So I do think it's right, but I think Colin is he's got his hand up anyway. The best person to answer. Thank you.
Thank you, Colin.
Thank you, Chair. Yes, it was discussed, the matrix was discussed as an agenda item at the full council meeting. And after several discussions, I've just my notes and also Alicia's notes match, that Councillor Roach explained that actually the matrix wasn't designed to try and show anything about the towns. It was about the smaller settlements, and the conclusion was, well, to say I don't know whether it was quite a conclusion or things just simply stuttered to a halt, but the decision was not to respond to the matrix, so we didn't.
Thank you for that. Okay, I think.
Can I just
Councillor Brown,
add on? Sorry, can I just add on to that?
Brown?
Sorry. That may be true at the meeting, and my memory's gone on that because it's filming most of it. At the meeting I had subsequently for the thing, we actually made it quite clear that not having a decent matrix actually affects where it is you actually develop. Because if you are going to say, well, towns are the only place we're going to develop, if that's what the eventually decided, is the fact that everything comes out green makes it wonderful. And I did specifically compare Bury St Edmunds to Haverhill. I said, compare what you've got between us. And there is no comparison between us. And I understand what Councillor Roach may have said, but I'm not convinced that is the right answer. The right answer is we need development where you need development, not just because it's a big town. We have to squeeze more into a town. Villages are dying because we're not allowing small-scale developments in those areas. So yeah, it'll be interesting to see what comes out of the next local planning meeting, where we will review those that matrix again, because it will come up in the minutes, if you like.
Councillor Brown, I think you might have missed a lot of that, but it was about the Councillor Stitchcombe said that it was it's PT 21160, which is about the local plan, the healthcare and that. I don't think you was at the full council meeting, was you? The last one?
No, I wasn't. Can you hear me,
No.
Pat, now?
Yes.
Yeah,
loud and
okay.
clear. Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
You on your
Yeah.
iPhone?
Yeah, I've had to, my computer's really playing up at the moment. I'm trying to log in on that, but I've had to jump on my phone, which I'm not 100% au fait with using, but I'll give it a go. Yeah, looking at, obviously, I've read, you know, Alan's proposed text in some detail, and I think, you know, it's a very, very good policy statement. You know, the town, you know, health has deteriorated over the last few years. We cannot keep building houses here without the infrastructure. So, no, I fully support it. Yeah, 100%.
Thank you. Right. Okay. The next page is 2, 4, 5. Vicky? Thank you. Any comments on them? No? 2, 4, 6. A few neutrals. 2, 4, 7. Neutrals again. And that's it. Thank you. Right, back to the agenda again, which is item 6, which is street naming. Phase 2B of Persimmons Homes to consider a response to the email from Charlie Glasswell, which has been circulated regarding street names for Phase 2B at North West Haverhill. Anyone? I think we've put some in, Councillor Burns. We've put some in already on this one, haven't we?
Yeah, the only one was about the fact that they wanted to use, I think, the name of Mr. I think it was Hutchinson. As a
master of the Chorlton Middle School.
Yeah, as a major street name in the middle of what we've got is effectively World War I veterans. And I think Councillor Crook suggested another name, which I thought was very appropriate. I don't know if that was another name or included in the names we've already submitted. I can't remember, but I think Mr. Hutchinson is fine. But that, you know, we could be using that for like the Brickfields Drive, that road, if we're going to rename that. I think we ought to concentrate on the scheme, the generics, if you like, of the World War I, World War II side of things. Get those fully utilised first before we start considering others. You know, we're going to have lots of roads to name over the next 15 to 20 years. So let's finish up what we got, is my personal view. But I don't know whether Councillor Crooks can remember that. No, sorry to put you on the spot, Jason.
No, I think we submitted them, and the developer came up with some, didn't he, for a certain squadron, and I suggested that Corlette from Furlough would be good to go in that part of the development, wasn't it?
Yeah, coming back, I can't remember whether he was on the list of the original names that was submitted to Persimmon. Yes. It was. Yes, okay, sorry, thanks. I haven't got the list in front of me. Sorry.
It was. It's just that the developer didn't pick that name. That's all it was. It's not, you know, it's not a problem. But I thought the local connection, it would be higher up the list. That's how I felt.
Yeah.
Okay. Vicky, do we need? Have you got that down? Do we need a vote on this? On this part of the, because we have already submitted them. You frozen, Vicky.
Frozen.
Yeah. Looks like she can't. Councillor Sitcombe, looks like she can't.
Well, while we're waiting for Vicky, Chair, the the agenda item says to consider a response to the email. So we need to decide on a response, even if it's, please, can you carry on with what we asked you before, don't we?
Yeah. Yeah, Vicky?
So I'd like to propose that.
Right, okay, thank you.
Sorry,
Councillor
I missed that because my internet went out. So what was the decision?
That we keep to the names that we've already submitted, plus what Councillor Crooks said. Can you repeat that, please, Councillor Crooks?
Yeah, it was the New Zealander, wasn't it, that died over furlough, wasn't it, Corlett? And I suggested that name should be up higher up the list. But I'm a bit dubious because if you're suggesting one name, that means another one's got to come off the list. So I'm not, I'm a bit wary. But John's got his hand.
Are you agreeing to the list that Charlie sent round then?
Councillor Burns?
Except for the Hutchinson name.
Right.
Instead of using it. I think, Councillor Chris, I just want to emphasise there are a lot more roads to name. We're only up to phase 2B at the moment. We've got 3, 4, 5 and 6 to do yet.
Well, you could remove Hutchinson and put Corlett in its place.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. Yeah. Let's use the World War I names we got first before you move on to other names.
Yeah, Councillor Burns was suggesting that we put the Hutchinson to the, what was it?
Brickfield.
I don't know, somewhere else where we got development coming up, Brickfields or
Brickfield, yeah.
Somewhere else. But I think we ought to concentrate on the older names, if you like, first.
But yeah, quite right, Councillor Burns. But I think we should, not just say, "I'll strike it off."
No.
We should put that. We suggest that goes into Brickfield's building.
Yeah.
Site.
There will be a whole load of other names coming forward.
Yeah. For that area.
World War II.
Right.
Foreign servicemen, Czechoslovakian, Polish, all that sort of stuff that's coming up. Who died in the Second World War.
Which was loads. There's loads of them.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you very much for that. Vicky?
So just to confirm, Rogers, Brothers, Quinn, Roberts, Mugford and Kenny are the ones that Charlie suggested, and we're replacing Hutchinson with Corlett's.
Yeah.
Okay.
Councillor Stitch can propose it. Can I have a seconder for that, please? Councillor Crooks. All those in favour, please show. Okay. Yeah, overwhelming. Item 7, which is planning policies, to discuss content for draft written policies for responses on certain planning matters. Vicky, can you put that on the screen? Councillor Stitchcombe's letter to you.
I can do that. I have the draft if you want me to put up the draft that Councillor Stitchcombe prepared.
Yeah, it is a draft. Sorry. Please, thank you. Okay, hopefully you've read this, and it is a draft that you can well see, so it can be changed if you want to.
Chair, if I may just introduce it, the history of this is that we had already objected to a couple of applications recently, haven't we, on the grounds that the NHS infrastructure wasn't up to it. And then at Energy and Sustainability, we were discussing whether specific requirements for buildings, or our idea of what are necessary requirements for buildings, their sustainability should go in to the council should be forwarded as part of the local plan, actually, didn't we? I think was when we first hit on it. And I thought, well, we can add that into a list of a short list of items and an expanded list of, what is missing in the way of NHS provision. And I then chucked into the mix something else that we've complained about before, which is the lack of transport infrastructure that stops Haverhill being properly sustainable. If people need to travel in or out of town, they haven't really got the trunk facilities to do that, have they? There's no primary route and there's no railway. So it's a bit of a rag bag, but it's putting together everything that we feel strongly about into what will, if you take out all the yellow bits, be a single side of A4. Yeah, so I think Colin, about on the transport side of it, I think Colin put email around asking us to circulate survey that the Suffolk County Council are doing on transport. So if you can possibly, everyone, sort of circulate it around to people that are working, that's the thing. I couldn't fill it in myself because I'm retired. Except to say that volunteering is a form of working. It's just unpaid, isn't it? So if one is travelling to volunteer, one is still qualified to respond. It gives trouble is it gives what they call it, where things come down, and it's all where you have to sort of just highlight a particular work that you're working in. It's got all the places of work in the area, and you have to highlight it. It doesn't give, like if you're a councillor or things, and I even put in on other items, because I put Samuel Wall, which I do work there, but it wouldn't accept it on other items. So it's rather a strange survey.
It should accept it, Chair. That's that box. The drop down is, to be perfectly honest, rather Ipswich centric. But the other box is deliberately there for people to be able to write in other employers' names. I don't know whether anybody else has tried and it doesn't work.
But it definitely doesn't work with me. Councillor Smith?
Yeah, I don't have any trouble putting in another name in there. You can always click, I think there's an option there for Haverhill Town Council. Always put that there.
Have you tried that? Putting Town Council in the other? No? No,
I say Town Council was one of the options on the drop-down menu.
Oh, is it? Oh, yeah. Right.
But I put another other option in, and that works fine. So.
Oh, right.
I think good.
It didn't. The other option didn't work for me.
Well,
right. I'll do the Town Council one definitely then.
It's sometimes a bit device dependent. It might work on a PC but not on a phone, or vice versa. It's always worth trying it on a different browser. Yeah, well, mine, I definitely didn't try it on the phone because my phone. Sorry, I don't wish to bring up a grief-stricken subject with you, Chair. Yeah. Oh dear. Right. Okay.
Chair.
Yeah.
So, in terms of the position statement, I think that's a really great sort of starting point. What I thought was also perhaps of interest in terms of policy is to look at how other towns have addressed this, because of course if you have an adopted neighbourhood plan, then you've already got positions on various matters, including housing. So with your permission, can I share some pages from the Newmarket neighbourhood plan, which was adopted only the tail end of last year by West Suffolk, and therefore we can say that this is the sort of document that West Suffolk already do adopt, and it gives us some clues. Obviously it's about Newmarket, but it gives us some clues how we can mould our language and perhaps adopt some of the strategies that they've adopted, that West Suffolk have now made policy for Newmarket. If you permit, I'm happy to show that.
Yes, please.
I'll just say something quickly, Chair.
Yes, Councillor Crooks.
Yeah, this document doesn't sit with me at all. Having a blanket objection to applications that you haven't even seen yet is I find offensive, really. I think you're predetermining every application before you've even seen it. You've got to look at applications and judge on their own merits with an open mind. Saying that the council will object in principle to everything is until we get a railway station is just ridiculous. So this sort of statement is not something I personally could support. Thank you, Jeff.
Thank you. Councillor Brown? You're muted.
Yeah, thanks, Chair. Yeah, this isn't a blanket position statement. This is a blanket position statement on major developments. And this is, you know, around health of the town, which we know has deteriorated. You try and get a dentist, the doctors, you know, we're talking about, you know, sustainable building in Haverhill. Half the estates aren't even served with, you know, bus stops. You know, it's until West Southwark or developers come up with much better plans and, you know, central government, you know, invest in healthcare in this town. You know, I think we should have a you know, position statement, because, you know, we need to send a message out to those council, you know, to the higher echelons of government that we ain't going to put up with, you know, 4,000 more houses coming to this town with less health provision than we had, you know, 10 years ago. So I think, you know, it's quite right that we should have a position statement, and that's it, let people know exactly where we stand. And this isn't about small, you know, developments. This is about major developments.
Thank you very much for that. Councillor Crooks?
Yeah, but you could argue reasonably that the Persimmon development is bringing us a brand new bypass for Haverhill. You know, that's a huge infrastructure success from that particular development. You know, there's fors and against for all major developments, but a blanket objection before the developments, the proposals that come forward it's
a hugely strong message to send out. We've been trying over the last 10 years to say, look, we haven't got the healthcare that we need. We haven't got, you know, the sustainable transport links that we need. Yeah, the bypass is great, but that's, you know, a tenth of what we need. And, you know, it's about time we stood strong and actually told, you know, the county council, West Suffolk, etc., that we ain't going to put up with thousands more houses here without the healthcare that we bloody well need. You know, it's a message. They're going to take no notice of this at West Suffolk, but it sends a message out.
Thank you. Well, I hope that they will take the message, because we're doing something really drastic here.
Yeah,
that's very unusual.
Sorry, Chair, but let's recognise this. Let's recognise this is predetermination. Let's recognise what we're doing here. We're predetermining an application before we've even seen it.
We're only consultants. We are not the deciding authority.
Quite right. Councillor Burns?
Yeah, I have a slight sympathy with what Councillor Crooks is saying. My problem is this stating that we're going to object to the next phase of Northwest or Northeast Haverhill just purely on principle, when it's already been approved that they're going to have these total of 4,000 or 3,650 houses across the two sites? Because the only other development that is anywhere near a major development, possibly, although it may be looking unlikely, is the big development south of the bypass. This may be, I mean, I understand what's being said here, but I've got a feeling we're 15 years too late.
Councillor Brown?
Yeah, we're not, because since the outline, you know, planning permission was granted, there's been a climate emergency declared. So everything has changed. That development is not sustainable. It's not heat pump ready. It's not got solar panels. It's not got electric charging points. It's got nothing. It's not got proper cycleway links to it. It's not got proper bus service. It hasn't got the health care that it needs. It's we can do what we like. We're Haverhill Town Council Plan Committee, and we can say and do what we like. And you know, the world's changed in 5 or 7 years, you know, since the outline, you know, plan permission was granted on that. And as I said, there's a climate emergency being declared, and we need to stand strong and put a strong message out. Thank you.
Councillor Cooney, thank you.
Yeah, I get what this document's trying to do, and I fully agree with it. What confuses me, does this document actually mean anything? Will it have any impact when it goes to planning at West Suffolk? Because if development control doesn't recognise what we're saying, these developments are going to get passed anyway. And as a town council, do we lose any influence? Because is any developer actually going to come and talk to us anymore? If they know that we're just going to object to it from the onset, what's the point in talking to us?
Councillor Brown?
Well, there's a lot of, I say, we're a consultee. So us saying this is a very, very strong, you know, message. We haven't got any other voice other than, what, are we going to let, you know, another 10,000 houses be built here? You know, you try and get a doctor, dentist appointment in Haverhill. We cannot, as I say, cannot keep building houses. The only way we've got of combating it is to have a, you know, policy statement like this that goes at, you know, with every major development to make sure that, you know, developers, etc., know exactly where we stand. It's all right. You know, we've been doing this for, you know, I've been involved in this for 7 or 8 years, and we've been running around in circles trying to get things done and getting nowhere. You know, we've got to have a strong statement. We can also put other comments on, because, you know damn well that West Suffolk will still push these developments through, but at least us as residents and councillors here, we're not just laying down and letting them steamroller over us. We're actually trying to do our best, you know, for our residents, and that's what we're here for. So, you know, I think, you know, we've got to do it.
Yeah. Councillor Burns?
So I need to ask Colin this. Where parish councils are statutory consultees on planning matters, are they also subject to a form of predetermination that basically says we're going to have this as a standard clause in our responses? We may still discuss the application, but we're still going to add this every time.
Yes, absolutely. It is clear that this would be predetermination, but as Councillor Brown pointed out, you're not the authority making the decision. So basically the penalty, if you like, for predetermination is that it leaves the council's decision making open to judicial review. But there'd be absolutely no point a developer taking our decision on the consultation response that will instantly be discounted by the planners. There's no little point investing in a judicial review because it has no effect in the first place. If you took the same view and you sat on the Development Control Committee, as well as on this body, and you are seen to voice this view, then an individual councillor could well be advised by the legal department of West Suffolk that they shouldn't take part in the vote, which potentially, of course, could, you know, a vote for a development could be passed by one vote, because a councillor disqualified themselves by predetermination. So there's no difficulty for Haverhill Town Council as far as predetermination is concerned, because it will have no impact whatsoever. I do agree that it probably isn't useful to be quite so black and white as this document currently is. I think every single one of us agrees with the sentiments. But what I was going to do before this part of the discussion started was to show you how our neighbouring town in Newmarket is addressing the same rules and making the same points. Obviously, it's a different town with different facilities, but you can write documents that do potentially carry some weight or score some points. That that might be an alternative route. That doesn't mean that we can't be just as vociferous about the sustainability of things, but there may be different ways to crack this nut. Shall I show you what Newmarket did?
Yes, please.
So just a reminder, this is section 9 of the Newmarket neighbourhood plan. So this has been adopted. So this is planning policy. Now, because this policy was adopted by West Suffolk after the West Suffolk local plan, this document takes precedence over the West Suffolk local plan. Now, for a neighbourhood plan to be any good, it has to be written in fairly legal language, because at the end of the day, a planning process is a legal process and it's open to challenge in court. So the first thing that you can see that Newmarket is doing is actually picking up all sorts of existing policies from West Suffolk that help, particularly their point, and this section here is about sustainable design, etc.
Colin, sorry, could I interrupt? My eyesight isn't good enough to actually read any of the text. Could you just blow it up a bit, please? Thank you.
Is that better?
Yes, thank you.
Okay, so basically it's not necessarily using West Suffolk's words against them, because these are West Suffolk's words and they're entirely supportive, but it's basically picking up on these things and giving them an extra degree of importance as far as Newmarket is concerned. So, so this first preamble is all about picking up local East Anglian national policy. And there's something, this is action, community action that Newmarket is going to take. If I scroll down, there's all bits of flooding and then there's bits on housing for all. The bit I want to get to is on the next page. So it's major new development. So for all proposals where 10 or more homes will be provided or site has an area of 0.5 hectares or more, in addition to those facilities, Newmarket Town Council will lobby for, you see, so not objecting, but will lobby for facilities, including not limited to. And these are things it expects to be provided within development or in terms of Section 106 elsewhere. And then talks about demands. Newmarket will lobby all stakeholders, should allocate Section 106 funding to support infrastructure demands. And then it goes on to talk about connectivity. So I'm not necessarily talking about the actual words, but the tone and tune that's being played here. And I think that it's capable that this position statement could actually pick up on these sorts of ways of writing, because this is planner speak. And these things are, we know, because this has been adopted, that there has been adopted by West Suffolk for Newmarket. That means they'll adopt it for Haverhill as well. And it may be that we can word things just to make sure that we are getting all of this. You're not going to be able to get a railway station or a hospital or whatever in terms of the sort of routes we're talking here. But it depends whether you want to make the impact statement that Councillor Brown is talking about, or try and get some actual influence on the developments. But at the end of the day, it's the councillor's decision.
So we can, instead of object, we could put lobby. What was the wording?
Well, the wording there was if there is a major development, then this is what Newmarket Town Council is going to do. So if you like, that's almost like that's their predetermination that that's what they're going to do.
Oh, right.
So in terms of how we write things, is how we write this in this format is a suggestion.
Yeah.
Chair, can I ask Colin a question?
Yeah. Councillor Sitchcombe?
Colin, I sort of hear you saying in your preamble that this is tightening up on the local plan, the neighbourhood plan, as you've just shown us, is tightening up on the local plan. But then actually when we look at the wording, it's, well, we'll lobby for it, which sounds ever so weak. It sounds like, well, that's not tightening anything up, is it? It's not actually restricting anything, or tightening up anything. It's just saying, well, if we don't, if you don't comply with this list, we'll lobby for it. Well, yeah, that doesn't sound like a tightening up at all. Am I right?
Well, I mean, this is the community action part of it. The difficulty is that obviously in the case of a neighbourhood plan, that's an official planning document. And if it used the absolutist language from your position statement, it would be thrown out at inspection stage. It would never get adopted. It would never get as far as the referendum. It would simply crash and burn at the first few hurdles. But these are position statements at the end of the day. And if you think about it, in this, an adopted thing saying Newmarket Town Council will lobby, well, that's no real difference to Haverhill saying, well, we're going to object. I mean, that's our lobbying. Basically, this is what we want to happen. We're going to say each time we want these things. So that's us lobbying. But the choice of language is a decision for councillors. If we do go down this route, at least we're all absolutely aware that it will be something of a Pyrrhic victory. We'll get to say what we want, but nobody will even bother reading this document because once they've seen it once, they'll know it every time they see it. So we'll feel good about it, but it won't actually make any difference. And I guess what we would have to do on each occasion is either not make any further comment on planning applications and therefore not represent the people of Haverhill, or we would have to say for each one, this is our statement. Alternately, if the planning authority are minded to approve, then here's our, this is our proper list of things that we think need doing that are capable of being adopted by the planning authority. I just don't know whether that's the overall route that you want to go.
Councillor Brown?
Yeah, thanks, Chair. What about Colin having a look at this, a little bit of time to go through it, set it out in a document, and then come back to the planning committee and we can agree it. With a little bit of thought about it. Try and you understand how we feel about these things. Obviously using your skills, if you can word it in that way and in a format that's similar to the Newmarket draft plan or whatever it is, the town plan. But we need to get this message over, Colin, as much as we can, that we're not happy with the way things are and we just don't feel that we've got a voice anymore. We're asking around some conditions to be put on around noisy neighbours. We just absolutely just got thrown out and didn't even take any notice of it. We need to get some sort of message out to West Suffolk, and all right, half of us on here are West Suffolk councillors and we'll do our best there as well. But as a town council, I think we need to have the strongest possible document, so that planners know that we're deeply unhappy with a lot of the things that have been thrust on us.
Yep, Chair, I'm very happy to perhaps work with Councillor Stinchcombe, who I think we should bear in mind forwarded this document as a starting point for discussion and not as the end point. So it may be useful if I work with Councillor Stinchcombe on that and see what we can come up with, because I think we can make our point really clear. And of course, it isn't just on housing. The Newmarket neighbourhood plan covers a whole range of different things that we could include as on planning matters, including sustainability, etc., and housing mix, which I think is covered by the Newmarket version in any case. So we can put a whole load of these points together and then bring it back.
Yeah, I was just going to say this is a draft, but also when I had the training about these neighbourhood plan, it said on one particular plan that they showed us that they sort of said that only houses 2.5 stories high could be built in a particular town that they was mentioning. So there's all sorts of things. See, but the thing is with these are very, very expensive, and it's a lot of work. And you know, it's that's the only trouble with these neighbourhood plans is you know, and so obviously, if it'd be great if Colin and Councillor Stitch can work together, then obviously, you know, just look at these things and other things as well. It would help greatly. Thank you very much. Councillor Brown?
Yeah, what I was going to say was, can we make sure it's done as, I know you've got a lot of things to do, Colin, but can we make sure it's done relatively quickly as soon as possible? And it's, you know, it'd be great if it's a work, you know, if it's a living document, get something done and we can add and subtract from it or amend it, you know, over time. But I really think we need to do something sooner rather than later.
Yes, I mean, I think we should say that I'm not volunteering myself, and Councillor Stinch can do a neighbourhood plan. Councillor Hannon's quite correct. Is that £100,000 is the going rate for a town our size to get one of these things done. I'm simply talking about effectively piggybacking by looking at other West Suffolk neighbourhood plans, so we don't have to do the research on the policies, and just keep it at some fairly simple, clear points that are capable of being accepted by the district council, but include a payload which makes it really clear what our concerns are, and that there is a high degree of frustration.
Thank you. Councillor Burns?
No, I hope we won't talk about a local plan, since we've got a local plan currently being developed, a neighbourhood plan. It's called a local plan. And I think all this stuff should be going into that pot under the town council heading. It's all very, very good having it to every application. It should be in there. So at least the other members who are going to discuss this can see what Haverhill wants to do. The Newmarket plan, I was one of those who approved it. After discussion with some Newmarket councillors, they loved it. But of course, the subtle difference between Haverhill and Newmarket is Newmarket have got a lot of sites up for development. We haven't got any, as I keep mentioning, other than that one south of the bypass. All our major sites have already gone through outline. There's absolutely nothing we can do in terms of all the infrastructure that wasn't organised for those outlines. Obviously, complain as much as you like, that's fine. Newmarket, as I say, got a thing, but they're obviously out there to protect their horse racing industry as well. But more importantly, at least 3 times and probably more since that neighbourhood plan has been adopted, West Suffolk planners have ignored it, to the disgrace, or not disgrace, the disgruntlement of the Newmarket councillors, who have complained very much so at development control meetings that their neighbourhood plan has just been totally walked all over. So if we got that problem to start with, I'm not certain why West Suffolk would just not ignore this as well. I mean, I think Councillor Crooks and Smith, wherever you are, there you are, top left, you know, probably heard this. We heard this about their McDonald's site. We heard, well, we got one tomorrow, in fact, where the locals are complaining about conservation areas and things, but the officers are just saying, oh, well, you know, we'll get on with it and just ignore their local plan. So I'm not so certain that a neighbourhood plan, as much as we like to think that it supersedes everything else, actually has that. It may have a legal power, but unless you're going to take out, again, a judicial review or something of a planning process, you ain't going to get anywhere. So shout as much as you like. I would agree totally with all that. Don't like the word object, that's for certain. I don't like that, but certainly shout. But just bear that in mind. Thank you.
Okay, Councillor Brown.
Yeah, that's what I was saying. That some of us want this document to be as strongly worded as possible, so they actually get the message. As Councillor Stinchcombe said, in the Newmarket local plan, some of the wording wasn't that strong, and it words like lobbying do not go very far. We really need to. We're here to represent Haverhill residents, and we need to put their views out there. They're not happy with the lack of infrastructure. They're not happy with the lack of healthcare in the town, and it's our job to do all we can, to better it. And if we've got to use strong words, so be it.
Right. Object is an objectionable word. It's upsetting people, isn't it? And that has a positive element to it in this particular context. 15 years too late is the 15 years in which we've started, or I didn't even live in Haverhill 15 years ago, but we or barely had moved here. We kind of trusted the NHS to do right by us, and things have changed, haven't they? It doesn't do right by us anymore, does it? Unfortunately.
No, it started going downhill in 2012, didn't it? Which is 9 years ago, isn't it? So that's when the health really started going down. Councillor Crooks?
On a positive point, really, it is amazing how much the town council and how much we have influenced applications, over the years. Most recently, I think of Boyton Hall, that application that went forward where the town council objected, and we got that application refused. So, if you actually went back on previous applications, how we have massaged them, changed them for the betterment of Haverhill, we have got a long list of success of working with the planners and the applicants. Thank you, Chair.
Yeah, just to come back on that, we won them things because of the merit of it. We got the backing from the councils because of the merit. But we need to highlight, I think what Councillor Stickland's trying to say and Councillor Brown is we need to highlight the problems at Haverhill. Perhaps they don't know. Perhaps they don't know we've got such big problems. The councillors might not know that. But at least we're highlighting all these problems that we've got in Haverhill, and and when we object on future things, they might have that at the back of their head and thinking, oh well, okay, and we put a good case over like we did with them, what you just mentioned, and we got it on merit, and perhaps we will get it on merit when we object because of the particular reasons that we stated or going to state. If it comes back and if it's approved. Okay, is there anyone else? Thank you for that. Right, okay, thank you for that. So what we're going to, I need suggestions now. Councillor Brown?
Yeah, is this going to be a formal proposal, is that?
Yeah, the Councillor Stickcombe and Colin will work to sort of on the draft, and then come back as soon as possible to us as a planning group. Okay. Is that a proposal then, Councillor Stickcombe?
I'll propose, yes. Thank you.
Yes,
I'll propose, yeah, thank you.
Low. Right. Okay. Seconded by Councillor Brown. Right. All those in favour, please show. Yep, that's everyone. Thank you very much. Right, next item is item 8, planning conditions to consider a response to Rachel Armand's email circulated prior to the meeting. Any comments on this, Councillor Stickland?
I'd like to ask, this is a bit of a rhetorical question, but maybe we need to actually ask her directly, what the hell does "we would usually try to encourage" mean in practice? That's in her second paragraph. I mean, what on earth does that, who is the "we" there? Is that vaguely people, or is that her or her staff? I just think that is just, you can tell it's raising my blood pressure even talking about it. I just find that kind of insulting to speak to someone like that. We would usually, you know, could we get specific, please, Ms. Almond? Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Brown?
Yeah, I thought that letter just fobbed us off again, as I was saying earlier. And, you know, I would like to know, you know, how much enforcement has there been in Haverhill in the last 5 years? I think you could write it on the back of your hand, to be fair. There's very little enforcement, as Councillor Burns has tried on numerous occasions. And once again, they're ignored. So how some poor, you know, resident that's having their children waking up at 10 o'clock at night, you know, because of building work next door, and they've pleaded with, the people that are doing the work, you know, sort of lay off, and they just ignore them. And how do they go about, you know, getting something done? They don't, unfortunately, but who cares? You know, they just live on the council estate in Haverhill. So, yeah.
Yeah, I can see the blood pressure rising already on two of the councillors already. Councillor Burns?
Not mine. I think the problem is that they don't make life simple for themselves. You know, they have a standard condition about construction, whether it's 2,500 houses across Great Wheelsey or somebody putting up a conservatory. They have standard boilerplate paragraphs. You know, thou shalt not work after lunchtime on a Saturday, no time on Sundays or bank holidays, nothing on the road, no construction on the traffic on the road, but they fail to include them. And it's not just the small scale, that's not the small ones I'm really so much worried about. It's the larger scale ones, like the one down up at the business park, which they totally forgot to put the things in. But only, I think it was the development control time before last, what would that be, in August, I made a strong point, is that they, you know, the officers, and I'll repeat what I said before, the officers said, oh, it doesn't matter, those conditions are in the outline. And I said, I don't care whether they're in the outline, I want them included in this one. But they still failed to do it. I think that was for 2B up at Northwest there. They just failed to do it. And it's not just that condition, there's all the other conditions that are there. I asked a long time ago about construction management plans, which obviously does include that, but includes things like, you know, big lorries coming past your house, whatever time, all this sort of stuff. And they were very, Rachel Almond was very strongly of the opinion that we, for this sort of similar reason that was on that email, is that, oh, we don't want to deluge our enforcement department with all kinds of complaints. Well, actually, yes, we do, because that's what they're there for. They're basically a complaints department. And if the complaints department is failing to bother with complaints, then let's get rid of them and find somebody who can do that complaint. So I think you ought to go back, personally, I think you ought to go back and say, you know, this has been brought up many times at development control. Just use standard boilerplate things for everything. You could even put them on the website and just say, please refer to this page. These apply to you. You don't even have to list them on the document. But, you know, that's all they've got to do it once, but they can't seem to manage to even do that simple thing. So, yes, I personally would go back and say, it's not acceptable to us, Thank you. That's me without raising my blood pressure.
Well done. Right, is there anyone else? No? Right, can I have a proposal then? Someone, please? Councillor Brown? Okay. Okay, you can speak now.
All I was going to say is as we've spoken around, could we send a letter back to, a response back to Rachel Armand, highlighting our further concerns with her initial response?
Okay. Can I have a seconder for that? Councillor Stitchcombe? Okay. All those in favour, please show. Six. All those against? No. So that's carried. Right. Thank you. That was 6. Okay. Next item is item 9. For members of the public to speak on planning matters other than applications before the working party. Is there any, Michael and Christine, other than the planning applications? Do you want to speak on what we've spoken? Maybe is that what you, is that Michael? Is what you want to say?
Yes. Good evening.
Good evening.
We've viewed a lot of the meetings and we've attended a few of the meetings, and I noticed on the last committee meeting no members of the public were present, but that sort of doesn't take into account that people do view the meetings on YouTube. So although we're not physically present, we actually do follow exactly what you do, and we thank you for doing that, because it allows everybody to view and to make comments on what is actually going on. Particularly tonight, I found the meeting very interesting, with everything that you've discussed, and I applaud you for your comments on the infrastructure problems, which of course we consistently see. One of the things which I've done a little work on in the last few days is looking at obviously we had the Persimmon infrastructure plan which went in last month, and what concerns me is that on this particular plan everybody has voiced objections previously. I had a look back, and there's a report from in the Echo of May 2017 about the infrastructure and the objections to Link and Suckling Road to the new estate. Last year, the Town Council also sent an objection in, voicing exactly the same concerns. Then a year later, Persimmon bring forward a plan and they said, oh, we know nothing about this. I'm sorry, but it's not right. And it's just to say that how many times do you have to object to something before they actually get the message?
Thank you, Michael. Thank you very much for thanking the planning committee. It's really nice to hear that. We don't hear very much of from people thanking us, so I really appreciate what you just said. We hear a lot of people moaning, but we don't hear much of people saying thank you. So it really goes down well with the planning committee, and thank you for that. Does anyone want to comment on what Michael has just said at all? No?
Yeah, sorry.
Councillor Sitchcombe and then Councillor Burns.
I think Councillor Burns was itching to go.
No, the other thing I was going to say, and I appreciate what Michael and Christine are saying about the Echo. Unfortunately, the Echo never sends reporters to our meetings, so whatever they get, they often get from press releases, if you like, from elsewhere, unless they watch the YouTube, the modern stuff now. But I think also, and I'm not defending Persimmon in any way whatsoever, round about 2017-18 is Persimmon didn't own the land. It was all owned by the Vesties and the 6 people who are members of the consortium that owned it. So they may not be aware of what was discussed by those people compared to what was discussed by Persimmon later on. I'm not saying I'm right or wrong, but I'm just saying about the timing of it. And that may be the reason in this particular example. But they are fully aware of it now, as you know, with meetings and everything else. Unfortunately, West Suffolk seem to have it in their mind that that road should be open. I know there's certain councillors who think it should be. That's another matter. But we'd be interested to see what happens. The infrastructure application is still out there waiting, for some sort of determination. I spoke to the officer this afternoon, not about that specifically, I was actually talking about Great Willesey. And they're still looking into it at the moment about all of the whole infrastructure thing at the moment. So, sorry, thanks, Councillor Stinchcombe.
Councillor Stinchcombe?
Thank you. I was just going to thank Michael as well as you, Chair. Thank you.
Thank you. Right. Yes, Michael, would you like to come back on that?
Yes, thank you. And obviously, as I say, we do appreciate everything that is done. Regarding to, can I just make a point with a little of the work that I have done? As far as the hours of working, etc., especially on the Persimmon development, the outline planning permission called for a construction management plan for each phase, and that should have shown the hours of work, vehicle movements, and everything they were doing to maintain the site. Now, for each phase, that I believe they should be providing this plan.
Yeah, can I say, Michael, object to you saying you've done a little work. You've done lots of work, a great amount of work. So, I disagree with you there. Right, is there any, Councillor Burns?
Just on that particular one, I can't remember about 2A or 1, version, phase 1. 2B is the one I mentioned that whilst it was approved, I specifically stated we wanted all those conditions included, and the planners still failed to do it, despite me bringing it up at Dev Control. I think it was might be July, August, I can't remember. August? Yeah, so I'm looking at Councillor Smith. August, I made a big deal out of it and they still failed to do it, which is what should have been in there. I don't know why that was missed off, but again, it goes back to what we were just discussing about the standard boilerplate templates that they should be, because if it's stated no work shall start until a construction management plan should be done with the hours being, whatever it's 8 till 6 or whatever the hours are, then of course that is an enforceable issue because it hasn't been done. So yeah, thanks for all your work, because it's people like you where we get to know, you're on the ground, as it were. Thank you.
Yeah, and that's where it's so frustrating about the enforcement, isn't it? Which you mentioned earlier as well. The enforcement department, really big problems. Right, okay. Right, anybody else? No? Right, the next one on the agenda is item 10, plan applications to West Suffolk Council. I will invite members of the public who wish to address the working party in relation to a planning application to speak ahead of the working party, considering each application in turn. Right, list B, which is application 1, DC 21 1716 RM, submission of details under outline planning permission, DC 16 0473 OUT, the appearance, landscaping, layout and scale for the construction of up to 30 dwellings, associated garages, ancillary development and public open space. And this is development land at Brickfields Drive. If my memory serves me, I haven't noticed any electric charges, and there's two, number 16 and 19. See, this is where I've lost my notes, and that where they they're away from their houses, these parking places for number 16 and I think it's 19, but I can't be sure now. But as I say, that's one of the things that I can remember. Councillor Burns?
Yeah, it's worthwhile, and if you haven't done so already, looking back at the outline planning permission, which was in September 2016, so 5 years ago now. I was on the planning committee. I think I was on the planning committee. It must have been, but I wrote a big long statement anyway, which I have found because I've kept all the documents. Quite a lot of, and this was when at the time I was the county councillor for the area as well, and I met a lot of residents around there, and I raised up a load of things, one of which I got implemented, which was the fact that they wouldn't even consider starting this until the relief road had been started, although I did actually say at the time I'd much rather the relief road was complete. They made a big deal about, oh, there's going to be lots of jobs, which of course we know that's not the case. But the biggest problem, and it still is a big problem, is the traffic side of things. We all know what it's like up Brickfields Drive there. You know, there is an outline application for 30 houses. The design of this is not far off what it was in the indicative design 5 years ago. So I don't have a great problem about that. It's more what's happening outside the site I have a problem with. Suffolk County Council Highways at the time, although they haven't yet commented, I don't believe yet, on this particular application, made a big deal of the fact they wanted to implement traffic regulation orders around the site, not in the site, around the site, to basically ban existing residents from parking on the road outside their houses, so that construction vehicles could access this site. They specifically, I vaguely remember something about a Monday and a Friday, they would have a total ban all day long for vehicles to get in and off the site, and also putting W the lines down all over the place to stop people, and particularly on the junction of Hales Barn Road and Brickfields Drive, which you can't actually see on this, what Vicky's got up at the moment. But if I could just, if I'm allowed to, just show a picture I took 5 years ago at the time. If I can, Vicky.
Shall I stop sharing this?
Yeah, would you mind just showing it for a sec, just to give you an indication, just to remind people. This I took 5 years ago as part of my submission for the outline. So this is where they want the construction vehicles to drive up. You know, big HGVs, 44 tonners, whatever, coming from Hales Barn Road. We hoped on the basis that the relief road would have been finished by then. So if anything was coming from Bury, it would come around the relief road. But obviously, if this was started in the next 6 months or something, it'd be a big problem. So highways want to put W the lines all the way up there to stop all those people parking out. Remember, this is 5 years ago. Things have got worse in 5 years. And there's also other ones. If I can, I don't know if you can, is that, let me just stop sharing and share this one just to show you an example. This is at the top end of Brickfields Drive. The site is on the left. So this is, you know, maybe once it's finished, it may not be too bad, but I'm just really worried about that. So I think from a personal point of view, continuing that campaign 5 years ago is, this land was also owned by the Vesties, by the way, so they've actually sold it to the current owners. And the reason for wanting it developed because it was going to be landlocked between this and the bypass. So they said we have to develop on it. You know, we can't just leave it as, you know, we won't be able to get any farm machinery there or anything like that. that'd be my major concerns, unless there's any other concerns, obviously, as Councillor Hanlon says about, sustainable energy side of things, is how you're going to get construction vehicles there, how you're going to deal with the parking arrangements of the existing thing, remembering that under law, you're not allowed to reduce the amenities of people living nearby when it comes to planning applications. So just wanted to point those out. Thank you very much.
Councillor Brown?
Yeah, thanks, Chair. Yeah, adding to what John said, this development got outlined planning permission 5 years ago. A lot's changed since then. Haverhill's health provision has markedly deteriorated. Dentistry provision has markedly deteriorated. We've had a climate emergency declared. I cannot see on any of the drawings and any information I've looked at that any of these homes heat pump ready. They've not got oversized radiators. They've not got solar panels. They're not sustainable. Looking at some of the Vision 2031 documents, what it says there is that paragraph 8 of the NPPF even says that we should be building sustainable developments. This clearly isn't. This is a mile or so outside of the town. There's no nearby shops, etc. The only way you're going to have to get there is by car. We're also looking at the Vision 2031 documents around the aspiration 1. These are town council aspirations in the 2031 document. Every resident has a sustainable and suitable home. I don't think these are. Aspiration 9 was we want public transport links to the town, Cambridge and Bury St Edmunds, which are both reliable and affordable. This isn't going to be linked by bus service as far as I'm aware. Also, reading through the documentation, the strategic housing officer has got concerns that the affordable housing is up to NDC standard. So, some of the providers will not adopt if it is not to NDC standard. So I'm proposing objection on those grounds. Thank you.
Thank you. Vicky, have you got that? Yeah? Oh, well done. Right. Brilliant. Councillor Crooks? No, sorry, Councillor Crooks. Councillor Smith, is it you put your hand up?
Yeah, it's pretty much echoing what Councillor Brown just said, really. I mean, looking at this, again, it's a case of they're trying to get as many houses as they can onto a small plot. It does seem overdeveloped. House sizes, room sizes seem very small on some of the smaller houses. What about, so Councillor Burns made about the construction traffic and the bypass, it wouldn't make any difference if there's a bypass because they can't use the bypass to get to the sites. So they're going to have to come up that road anyway, whatever they do. Is that what you were saying?
So just to reiterate, I hope the construction traffic, if it was coming from the Bury end, would come around the bypass to the Hales Barn roundabout, turn left and then up that road. Yes, whatever way you're going to do it, you're still going to get that problem. We did suggest that my original document, which I as I say, still got here, was about putting a temporary access off the bypass, Relief Road, into the site for the construction traffic.
Yeah, but the danger is always something temporary becomes permanent, doesn't it?
No, I agree, but on the basis that the Relief Road would get started, they would, get to a certain extent that there was a metallised road of some sort along there, and then they could bring all their construction traffic in that route. But of course, what's happened is the Relief Road's got delayed. They've obviously got delayed, but they've literally taken the outline permission, which as soon as the Relief Road started, we're going to put our plans in, rather than thinking about maybe we need to wait it, 6 months, or even speak to Persimmon, if I'm not even saying they're talking to Persimmon, about saying, actually, could we use your road for a little while to bring our construction traffic in? Yeah.
Anyway, I suppose I guess I'm seconding what Councillor Brown has proposed.
Thank you for that. Councillor Crooks?
Yeah, I remember development control 5 years ago. I think we tried to get the we done site visits back in those days, and I think we tried to get the bus to go up Hell Road and Chapel went to the sites because we knew the bus wouldn't be able to get through, if I remember rightly. Yeah, because its access is really bad. My objection would be over access, because Hellsbarn Road in the evenings is a single track road. You know, you cannot pass on the road. It is a single track road in lots of places. So to have another 30 houses with possible 60 cars on Hellsbarn Road when it's a single track road, that is my main concern. But I do also understand the landowner, because as agricultural land, that would be, well, he says that would be landlocked, but it's not landlocked from a bypass, is it? You just have an entrance into a field, don't you? But the decision's already been made, hasn't it? The principle. So this is reserved matters. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you. Any other comments? No? Right, thank you. This is proposed by Councillor Brown and seconded by Councillor Smith, with all the things that Vicky has written down, and you've heard from Councillor Brown and Councillor Smith and also Councillor Crooks. All those in favour, please show. Yep, everyone. Thank you. Item application 2, which is DC 21 1759 8H, carport front elevation. This is Hill Crescent, and the house is called Mio Boto, I think that's how it's pronounced. I might be wrong. Okay, is there any comments on this one? No? Can I have a proposer for any Councillor Smith? Is that a scratch or is that putting your finger up?
Well, it's I don't know whether this, it just seems a bit contrived the way they've squeezed this carport in. I mean, it's even got a corner cut off it. It seems a bit strange shape, that's all. The support pillar is not actually on the corner, so I don't know if that's safe or not. I don't know. I'm not an engineer.
Yeah, they want to make it look the same as their front door, don't they? So yeah, I do remember a little bit. Yeah, I think it looks okay personally. Okay, any other comments at all from anyone? No? Right, can I have a proposer for a neutral then, please? Vicky, can you take this off because I can see better then, please? Thank you. Can I have a proposer for a neutral? Councillor Stinchcombe, propose. Can I have a seconder, please, for this? I'd second it. Okay, all those in favour, please show. Yeah, that's everyone. Thank you. Application 3, which is DC 21 1754 HH, a drop curb and driveway. This is 1 Abbott Road. Any comments at all on this one? No? Right. Can I have a proposer for this neutral on this one? Councillor Davison, can I have a seconder, please, for neutral? Councillor Brown, all those in favour, please show. Yep, that's carried, everyone. Item 4, which is DC 21 1564 FUL, all-weather multi-use games area on existing school field. This is Burton End Primary Academy, School Lane. Any comments on this one, Councillor Brown?
Oppose support.
Okay. Can I have a second? Councillor Smith, do you second that support?
Yep.
Councillor Crooks, do you want to comment?
Yeah, I thought we'd already done this. A previous planning meeting.
I don't think we actually had the plans
Vicky?
for it, I think.
Yeah, I'm sure we've already done it.
I think this is a resubmission, isn't it?
Vicky, can you help? Oh, everyone's putting their hand up. Hold on, Vicky. Hold on, Vicky. Councillor Rucini, then Councillor Burns.
It looks like we commented in May, was it? Oh, no, I'm reading that wrong. Don't worry, actually.
Well, it didn't come through until the 29th of September. So we couldn't have.
Yeah, we've had exactly the same planning application a month or so ago, but this has got a later date on it. I'm sorry, I haven't looked at the details because I'm not going to speak on the subject, but I think it's a resubmission.
Councillor Burns?
Yeah, hang on, sorry. I think there was a couple of extra documents came through post the town council doing their bit.
It's a re-consultation. Sorry, I should have put that on.
Yeah, because there's a couple of extra documents to do with I think the drainage or something like that. I think it was a cross-sectional thing of how it's going to sit on the field and everything.
Okay. Right, have we still got a neutral proposal by Councillor Davison? Yeah. Councillor Brown?
Yeah, we propose support, I think.
Yeah, oh, sorry, it was proposed by Councillor Brown, wasn't it, to support it, and then seconded by Councillor Smith. Right, let's get this right. Right, okay, so we support, which is proposed by Councillor Brown and seconded by Councillor Smith. All those in favour, please show. Yep, that's everyone. Thank you.
Well, I'm abstaining. I'm not everyone.
Oh, right. Okay.
I'm honourably abstaining.
Okay. Thank you for that. And the next item, which is matters to report. I've got a quick little one and then I'll come to Councillor Burns. I don't know if everyone knows, but we got a letter, didn't we? But they're changing the lights in Haverhill to LED. And I noticed today that my turning where I live is being done. They've done about half. So which is Dove House Road, which is the North Haverhill ward. As I say, I'm just to let you know. I haven't seen any others that are being changed at the moment. Yourself personally. Councillor Burns?
There's quite a lot around town. Roadworks.org has got them every day around the place. Some requiring traffic lights, some they're just being done. Number of things. Starting next Monday, if you don't already know, there's going to be traffic lights put up at the mini roundabout near Westfield School, next to the Great Willesey Park development. And this will be the start of, they're doing drainage to connect the main site to the sewer system. And there's also going to be a controlled pedestrian crossing outside the school where the zebra crossing is at the moment. That's going to be controlled as well. The works are actually being done within the grass verge, so it won't actually be in the road itself. But obviously they need to put trucks and things there. That's going to be there for about 7 weeks. They're going to be there, those traffic lights. Then the week afterwards, they're doing something, and Tony will tell me what this means, an AUGER bore operation. Go on, Tony, tell me what that means.
An auger operation.
Yeah.
Drilling.
Drilling.
Yeah.
That could just be for meter for telegraph poles, or it could be for site investigation or something.
Okay,
like
all right, that's fine.
Yeah.
Okay. And that's all to do with the rebuilding of the roundabout. So up till Christmas, there will be no traffic lights, but they're going to be doing those works. Then after Christmas, early January, traffic lights will go up on the thing for the widening of the roundabout to make the entrance into the site, and that will go on till about mid-April. So there's going to be traffic lights for the whole of that time. Along with that, I spoke to the planning officer today, not specifically about that, I was actually asking about something else, but they started building, as I reported to council, started building the show homes, timber frame show homes. As long as they don't look any difference to what the planning application is, it doesn't matter what they're made out, that's a building regulation, of course. But the planning officer is a bit concerned because the construction management plans haven't been approved yet. And this was something I did actually speak to Redrow 2 or 3 weeks ago, and they locally they expressed a quite surprised that there were those conditions, but there are specific conditions in the planning application that say that you cannot do any development work on Chalkstone until the access has been sorted out, which is actually the roundabout. So in theory, they shouldn't even be building any houses until the roundabout's complete. So that's where the lorries for those houses building is supposed to be coming through. The existing entrance opposite Falcon Close is there purely to build the spline road for the houses and also the roundabout itself. So there's some confusion. So she was going to go and talk to them and find out what's going on. They can build the houses, but that's at their own risk. If you know, if things don't go to plan. I don't have a major problem because they've been really good neighbours. You know, I live opposite in terms of cleaning the road, managing their traffic. Highways have apparently are now approved the construction management plan, so it's only a legality of getting the documents sorted out. Obviously, Highways were expecting Redrow to pay for the whole resurfacing of Chalkstone Way. Quite rightly, Redrow said, no, that's your job. On the same Great Willesey site, I need to get this out actually because I haven't told Joe Public, and I have told everyone else, there is an open day for the show homes on the A143 on the main road, leading out of Haverhill on the 23rd of October, starting at 10 o'clock in the morning, I think till 5. Everybody is welcome to go up there. It's a public event. You know, if you've got £500,000 in your pocket, go and buy a house. But please go and have a look. Tell them what you think. Any problems you may have. I don't know. And finally, for Vicky, I'm sorry you're writing away here, Vicky. I asked about the Vixen pub again today in Millfields Way. There's been absolutely no contact from the developers at all. Obviously, they're not doing anything either. But I am, as far as West Suffolk are concerned, unless they are legally advised otherwise, the planning permission has expired, which was to convert it into 18 flats and 2 shops. So they're trying to get hold of the developers who apparently seem to be quite, one, there's a language problem, and 2 is they don't answer any emails to find out what they're planning to do with it. You know, my personal view is knock it down and start again. That's my personal view. But they also haven't sorted out, I see Councillor Crooks wants to talk, haven't sorted out the legal right of way across the car park to the pub, what is now the pub. That is obviously owned by West Suffolk, and there is no legal right of way for whatever is going to go there. They need to sort that out as well. So it's quite, and also they've got to put lighting in the car park and everything else. It's going to be very expensive for them. So they may, I don't know what they'll do, but anyway. So I think that's all. Did you get that, Vicky? You can talk to me again anyway if you need to. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Councillor Crooks.
I don't know if anyone's heard anything about the Rising Sun pub, talking about pubs, because it'd be great to see them start at the Rising Sun, wouldn't it? Be absolutely terrific. Anyone heard anything?
Councillor Burns?
A little bit more, not great deal, Jason. Obviously, it's got planning permission to knock it down and restart. I believe they're just trying to sort out the conditions before they get working on it. But I agree with you totally. Let's get up. Although I didn't agree necessarily the way it was laid out, but that's a different matter. But yeah, it'd be great. And we don't know, obviously, at all who any prospective tenants are. Maybe that's what they're waiting for, is to see if they can get a prospective tenant. Thank you.
Okay, thank you for that. Right, thank you, everyone. Any other comments? No? Okay, the item 12, which is the date of next meeting, which is Tuesday, the 19th of October. Right, I'd like to thank everyone, and thank you, Michael and Christine, as well. Thank you for attending. And the time is 8:45. Right,